Today's program, with the blessings of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, is brought to you by Kailasa UN Mission. And your hosts for today's program on the International Day in commemoration of victims of Holocaust are Her Excellency Ma Vijayapriya Nithyananda, Permanent Ambassador of Kailasa to the UN, as well as delegates from Kailasa, Ma Nithya Katitananda, Ma Nithya Mahakatitananda, and myself, Ma Nithya Swatantra Priyananda. So to start off today's panel discussion, we will be showing you a few photos of what has truly happened in our history, although it has not been taught in history books. But first, let us ask you a few questions. How many of you know of the Hindu genocide? And if you do know facts about it, when and how did you learn about it? You can place your answers in the live YouTube or Facebook chat. And so we will be showing you a picture. We are giving a disclaimer because some photos are very graphic. Viewers' discretion is advised. So here we see 600,000 murders in 7 days. Where did this massacre take place? When? And who were the victims? The massacre happened in Kashmir from Kashyap to Kafirs, Hindu genocide in Rajouri on the 7th of November, 1947. Terrorists from Pakistan and deserters from the western districts of the state captured Rajouri. The town was surrounded by non-Hindu mobs who carried out extensive killings, loot, and rapes of Hindu residents. In just one day, it was estimated that 30,000 were killed, and it didn't stop there. Again, for our next photo, viewer discretion is advised. In 1971, about 4 decades ago, does anyone even know what happened? Massacres happened in Bangladesh. And this photo that we just saw exposes the 1971 Hindu genocide of Bangladesh, which began on the 26th of March. The numbers are heart-wrenching. 3 million Hindus killed in just 1 year. Of course, one life being one too many. 350,000 raped, and another 40 million displaced. Hindu women declared as public property by anti-Hindus. 10 million Hindus fled Bangladesh. 30 million became internally displaced. In 1049, does anyone know the Hindu population in Bangladesh? It was 100%. What about in 1951? It went down to 22%. 2011, 8.9%. And so looking at the trend in these numbers, how many do you think are left in 2020? Again, for our next photo, viewer discretion is advised. Who were they? Who were the victims? They were Hindus who lived across various regions in India. Man-made famines, which targeted Hindus from the 1700 to 1950. Although man-made famine is a means that one may seldom associate with Holocaust, it was in fact one of the largely used strategic methods to wipe out the Hindu population. 200 million estimated to have died because of man-made famines. The colonial era, 80 million starved to death. The Mughal era, 18 million. Kailasa famine of 1783-1784, about 11 million deaths in just 1 year. the Bengal famine, the Rajputana famine, the Orissa famine, the Deccan famine, and the list goes on, as you can see.
Now, this evidence makes it clear that 500 million Hindus were massacred, and to this day, the Hindu genocide is still ongoing. But how many of us know of this? It is evident that this issue is not only the genocide, but genocide denial, and it is of great concern, especially when it comes to the Hindu genocide, the Hindu Holocaust, because the Holocaust isn't just one event. It's a combination of hundreds of events that happened over 8 centuries. And denying the largest Holocaust on earth, which has been shockingly going on since 8 centuries of modern history, will continue unless it is first cognized and then corrected. Genocide of any group of people is an act of violence. It is a crime against humanity. And for that reason, we must all become aware of not only real history, and those of you don't find this in textbooks or are taught in schools, but become knowledgeable of the present day occurrences of the Hindu genocide to work collectively towards conscious correction.
So let's take a walk back in time. As we can see in the diagram by Mr. Nilesh Oak, author, researcher, and scholar with backgrounds in astronomy, ancient narratives, archaeology, and anthropology, the Hindu civilization dates back to at least 56,000 years. Around the time of the Mahabharata War, 7000 BCE, there were 56 sovereign Hindu nations which existed in an area estimated to be over 60 million square kilometers as shown in the map. Areas which included regions in present-day Afghanistan, India, Nepal, Burma, Sri Lanka, all the way to Singapore, Malaysia, Cambodia, and Indonesia, as well as in 200 states, 1,700 samsthanas, provinces, and 10,000 sampradayas, traditions. But over several centuries, the combined forces of foreign invasion, political upheaval, colonialism, and religious persecution systematically ended millennia of Hindu Swaraj, or self-rule. 40,000 temples were looted and 400,000 nationalized. Today, Hindu temples remain in certain countries, but the Hindus who worshipped in them have been ethnically cleansed. Over the past 800 plus years, Hindus have been subjected to mass murder, enslavement, multiple perpetrator rapes, child abuse, forced indoctrination, man-made famines, loss of territory, imposition of slavery, and identity distortion, resulting in a systematic physical elimination. Another fact we know today is that to ensure complete cultural elimination, invaders have attacked the institutions such as Hindu universities and libraries, which not only preserved the Hindu knowledge, they were centers of spiritual education and enlightenment, burned to the ground, destroyed. One such university was the Nalanda University. It was so vast, it was reported to have housed 9 million manuscripts. When it was set on fire, the Nalanda University burned continuously for over 9 months.
Yes. And another more recent incident was the burning of the Jaffna Library in Sri Lanka in 1981. And who knows about this? It was on the night of June 1st, 1981, that an organized mob of Sinhalese individuals went on a rampage, burning the library. It was actually one of the most violent examples of ethnic bibliocism of the 20th century. The burning of this library was part of a long campaign of cultural genocide in Sri Lanka. At the time of its destruction, the library was one of the biggest in Asia, containing over 97,000 books and palm leaf manuscripts. And destroyed were articles and memoirs and works of writers who had made a significant contribution towards the sustenance of the Tamil culture. And although this library was reopened, many irreplaceable ancient books important to the Tamil's ancient history were destroyed and lost forever. And to learn more about the Tamil culture and heritage, tune into the upcoming program that is being hosted by Kailasa, Canada on the occasion of Tamil Heritage Month. And this will be held on January 29th at 9:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So why did the Hindu Holocaust and the genocide of Hindus happen? And why is it still happening? Well, to attempt to answer this question may require an entirely other session or two, and maybe a few hours. But one thing can be said for sure is that genocide has been and is being done systematically and in an organized way based on decisions and choices made by certain individuals, decision makers, and groups that hold dearly either or a deadly combination of extremist religious ideologies and extremely exploitative, oppressive political ideologies carried out by absolute, oppressive, sadist, autocratic, power-hungry political decision makers. It's a perverted means of promoting control and violent behavior in all forms by eradicating those whom they see as different or non-useful in the promotion of their agenda.
And to expand on what Ma Katitananda just shared, we must first understand that genocide never just happens. There are stages of genocide, and there's always a set of circumstances which occur and which are created to build the climate in which genocide can take place. So let's look into the 10 stages of genocide. According to Dr. Gregory H. Stanton, who is the founding president and chairman of Genocide Watch and former research professor in genocide studies and prevention at the George Mason University in Virginia, there are 10 stages of genocide. And this process is not linear. It can occur simultaneously. So there is classification, which refers to categories to distinguish people into us and them by ethnicity, race, religion, or nationality. There is also symbolization, which is the distinguishing of the others by the use of names or symbols. There is discrimination, the use of law, custom, and political power to deny the rights of other groups on the basis of nationality, ethnicity, race, or religion, which includes right to citizenship. There is dehumanization, referring to one group denying the humanity of the other group. Members of the group are equated to animals, vermin, insects, or diseases. Organization. Genocide is always organized, usually by the state, often using militias to provide deniability of state responsibility. There is polarization. Hate groups and extremists broadcast polarizing propaganda to drive the groups apart. The dominant group passes emergency laws or decrees that grant them total power over the targeted group. The laws erode fundamental civil rights and liberties. Preparation. National or perpetrator group leaders plan the final solution. They often use euphemisms to cloak their intentions. They indoctrinate the populace with fear of the victim group, disguising genocide as self-defense. Persecution. The victim or group's most basic human rights are systematically violated through extrajudicial killings, torture, and forced displacement. Extermination. Extermination begins and quickly becomes the mass killing, which includes mass rapes. Finally, there is denial, which lasts throughout and always follows genocide. Denial is among the surest indicators of further genocide. And it's also important to note that genocide includes many other elements, such as lawfare, which includes denial of one's citizenship, character assassination and hate speech, brainwashing, forced religious conversion or forced indoctrination, many of which happens very subtly through the educational system, rape, child abuse, and others. And now we move on to the topic that many still to this day do not know about, which is the Hindu Holocaust of today, the ongoing Hindu genocide.
Over the last 30 years alone, the genocide of Hindu minorities in regions of Kashi, Bangladesh, Bengal, Kashmir, Gujarat, Indonesia have gone more or less unnoticed until recently. Many Hindus in these regions continue to face both subtle and extreme forms of persecution and cultural, religious, social, ethnic genocide, especially those of indigenous minority communities or traditions. And one such community is the Adi Shaivite minority tradition or the ASMT community. An incredible fact is that the ASMT Adi Shaivite minority tradition community is one of the world's oldest groups of indigenous peoples who are unique in their origin, language, culture, and traditions. They are in fact an integral part of the Aboriginal, indigenous, native Hindu tribes that have existed in India for millennia. Unfortunately, they have been heavily persecuted using the weaponization of sexual violence targeting the women and children, which is part of a more pervasive and systematic targeting campaign. Now, the persecution of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam, the sovereign of the sovereign state of Sri Kailasa, and the Supreme Pontiff of the 2 billion Hindu diaspora worldwide is a history and present-day happening that all should be aware of. But why should we be aware? Because the persecution of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and Kailasa is a continuation of the Hindu genocide.
So, why was the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism targeted? Well, there are several reasons. It was done in an effort to silence a leader, a spiritual master of millions, and those of his community, because he is reviving the ancient enlightened Hindu civilizational nation, one which represents the revival of 10,000 ancient traditions or sampradayas of Hinduism, all rooted in ahimsa or non-violence, traditions that in fact empower individuals and societies. Because he's reviving the principles of Hinduism and the 4 pillars of Hinduism, one of which is the Varnashrama Dharma, which is the best model for a stable society where power is equally distributed. Also, because the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism had a progressive stance for equality of all genders. Because of his progressive stance for equality of everyone, irrespective of caste, because he actively promoted female empowerment and the empowerment of female priests. He promoted gender equality in religion, supporting women as priests and monks, and built a woman-only religious university. Why was he persecuted? Because of his call for the protection of indigenous minority groups, because he dared to speak out against the crimes against Hindus and Hindu minority groups. So let's take a look into the persecution of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and Kailasa, a persecution which has now been recognized by the United Nations.
Because the Hindu diaspora worldwide and the Supreme Pontiff are successful in spreading their spiritual Hindu message of openness and inclusiveness against the forces of hatred and exclusivity, they have become the victims of relentless attacks by multi-armed apparatus of state power. Anti-Hindu forces, extremist caste, supremacist militant organization want a one ideology, Hinduism, under their exclusive domain. What they cannot digest into themselves, they systematically delegitimize and exterminate. Lawfare, assassination attempts, character assassination of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness, Bhagwan Nithyananda Paramashivam. Attempted assassination and assassinated Kailasians. Sexual assaults and rape of female monks of Kailasa. Objectification. Character assassination. State-funded child abuse and sexual abuse on the children of Kailasa.
Then I told I don't want to see a picture. Then I told I don't want to see a picture. Then they showed me a picture.
State-operated embezzlement of funds, properties and assets donated by the Hindu diaspora worldwide for the purpose of the revival of Kailasa. Since 1994, up to until now.
The known facts of the persecution of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and Kailasa. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has been heavily persecuted for over the last 27 years. He was faced with over 70 direct attempted murders. He was character assassinated, defamed through a recorded 14,000 hours of hate speech and media misinformation. There have been over 40 attacks on community members, destruction of monasteries and temples. Over 60 incidents of attacks, molestation, and rape of women and women monks. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism underwent intense lawfare via over 100 forced legal cases. Eventually, the passport of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was illegally cancelled and he was forced into statelessness. And some of the violation of human rights and the religious freedom that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism went through, he was tortured for over 50 days in prison with no registered crime or victim on file. He was interrogated without a lawyer present, and the interrogation was even leaked by the police to the media, and that was in 2010. He was denied religious rights in prison. He was forced gender determination test. And that was a government-sponsored torture in 2014. The freedom of speech and religion curtailed by courts, even in private spaces. The police repeatedly refused to file the FRIs of attacks on his community, and there was miscarriage of justice where suppressed evidence that exonerates SPH, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, and because of that, it took over 8 years to bring charges to court. The police also interrogated minor students from the religious school without parents present in 2019. They showed a pornographic material to the minor students, and they undergone various forms of harassment. For example, they were forced, tortured for wearing the traditional Hindu agamic clothes.
And continuing along, in 2010, a globally coordinated attack was launched by the neo-Hindutva groups against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. This started by sensationalizing a deep fake video of a popular movie actress from the Adi Shaivite minority tradition community and the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism on March 2nd, 2010. Immediately on the same day, violent mobs with improvised explosives were gathered and destroyed 50 of his temples and ashrams across India. Taking advantage of the engineered violence and confusion, assassination attempts were made on the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Even more, as the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was being moved by the monks of the Adi Shaivite minority tradition community from one town, city to another, so was the wave of mob violence in order to create a conducive climate for his assassination. And thankfully, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism today is alive despite the persecution and continues to, with unwavering focus, the work of reviving the ancient enlightened Hindu civilizational nation to bring enlightenment to humanity, to foster a peaceful, blissful, united, just, and sustainable world.
And there is good news. It's not all doom and gloom. For the first time, the voices of the persecuted Hindus were heard at the United Nations. Today, we are very fortunate to not only have a voice for Hindus in international forums, but also a nation for Hindus. Kailasa, the enlightened Hindu civilizational nation, the first nation for Hindus, which offers a safe haven to all the world's practicing, aspiring, or persecuted Hindus, irrespective of race, gender, caste, creed, where they can peacefully live and express their spirituality, arts, and culture free from denigration, interference, and violence. And here is a recording of the brief presentation that was made on December 2nd by Kailasa Nation Ambassador, who spoke on behalf of the Hindu diaspora at the United Nations Minority Issues Forum in Geneva, Switzerland.
En persona. Madam Chairperson, esteemed delegates and colleagues, I represent the Kailasa Nation led by Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam, which speaks on behalf of 2 billion Hindus around the world who do not have a voice representing them in these international forums. I want to specifically bring to light the attack on minority Hindu traditions. Hinduism, as people know, is not a single monolithic religion, but it's made up of thousands of unique enlightenment ecosystems, which are called sampradayas. In recent times, many Hindu gurus, Hindu minority traditions, and temples have come under attack by majority ideologies, and a large number of traditions have virtually disappeared. There has been no recognition of the attacks by international human rights groups, as in these cases, it is difficult for outsiders to distinguish the attackers from the attacked. For the past 10 years, the Kailasa Nation and SPH Sri Nithyananda Paramashivam have been attacked and silenced in India as a religious minority, as a linguistic minority, and because extremist elements are opposed to Kailasa's stance when it comes to the rights of women, including marginalized Dalit women and the rights of members of the LGBTQ and transgender communities. In 2019, Kailasa approached the OHCHR presenting the case of persecution, and when this document reached the Indian media, a very well-funded defamation campaign was started by news sources which were supportive of the union government, alleging treason and sedition on part of the Kailasa nation. A number of false cases were subsequently registered against Kailasa leaders, and one of our university campuses for women in the state of Gujarat was razed to the ground in a matter of days by mobs along with the local government. Kailasa has since submitted a number of reports on the persecution to various forums available within the UN, but not much action has been taken. In June 2021, Kailasa made a submission on the attacks of ASMT women in the session by the UN Committee on Elimination of Discrimination Against Women on the Rights of Indigenous Women, and further submitted reports how to end femicide and on gender justice. Later in September, Kailasa's report on media disinformation in India, which is a big problem, was accepted by the special rapporteur for the right to freedom of opinion and expression.
The sovereign state of Sri Kailasa. The sovereign state of Sri Kailasa is the ancient, enlightened Hindu civilization. Kailasa is not a competition for India, for Nepal, Bali, Cambodia, or any country. Kailasa is only complementing. It is a seed bank for Hinduism. The vision of Kailasa is living enlightenment for all humanity. Kailasa's mission is to revive and share with today's world the practical applications of the greater sciences of authentic Hinduism, including Hindu cosmic physics, Hindu alchemy, Hindu cosmology, Hindu biology, Hindu mathematics, power manifestation, and other sciences as revived by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam. These sciences were once practiced freely in over 56 nations across the continent, but are now facing extinction due to the persecution over a millennium. Kailasa has created thousands of enlightenment ecosystems around the world. 30 million global adherents of Kailasa are today living in over 100 countries, supporting 2 billion Hindus worldwide. The enlightened ecosystems of Kailasa around the world house Hindu universities, gurukuls, with the authentic Hindu educational system, temples, temple monastery complexes, food banks, animal shelters, and libraries, many of which are de facto spiritual embassies for the nation of Kailasa.
And as the first nation for Hindus, the sovereign state of Sri Kailasa has sovereign territory in more than one place and home country agreements with many countries where Kailasa will be having its embassies. In its sovereign territory, Kailasa has its own Supreme Court. Kailasa is also successful in achieving civil court status in 3 countries. Kailasa has the license to run banks in more than 27 places. And in 6 countries, Kailasa's currency has been accepted as mainstream currency. And in 2 more countries, Kailasa's currency is accepted as private currency. In 30 countries, Kailasa can run the Kailasa's Nithyananda Hindu University. Kailasa has also developed an independent sea route and air route that stitch the different sovereign pieces of land of Kailasa.
Kailasa also established bilateral relations with 7 cities and 1 state across 6 countries. 1, the city of South Euclid, Ohio, United States. 2, Entebbe Municipality, the Republic of Uganda. The city of Kampala, Republic of Uganda. 4, Jinja City, the Republic of Uganda. 5, Dangriga Town, Belize. 6. Mwanza City, the United Republic of Tanzania. 7. Melekeok State, the Republic of Palau. 8. Dire Dawa City, Ethiopia.
Furthermore, this year alone, there were 36 cities celebrating Kailasa's HDH Nithyananda Day, which was on January 3rd, 2022, and with 115 proclamations and certificates of recognition from politicians across 12 countries, including US congressional recognitions from Virginia, California, Illinois, Utah, California, Maryland, Colorado, Ohio, the Texas House of Representatives, California State Senate, Assembly member from California, the Governor of Maryland, the Mayor of Mwanza City from the United Republic of Tanzania, and from the Mayor of Dangriga Town in Belize.
And this is all being made possible by someone who himself has faced the double-edged sword, literally and figuratively, of both genocide and genocide denial. A being who has not only placed his life at risk, but sacrificed his good name for the protection of Hindus. The 1008th living incarnation of Paramashiva, a leader, a peace builder, and religious freedom defender, who is the president and the sovereign of the sovereign state of Sri Kailasa, the supreme pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Jagatguru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness, Bhagavan Nithyananda Paramashivam.
And there's a beautiful scripture reference from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verse 7 and 8. And it says, Yada yada hi dharmasya glani bhavati bharata abhyutama dharmasya tadatmanam shujamyaham paritra naya sadhunang vinashe cha dhuskritam dharma sangsta pamanate sambhavami yuge yuge. And it translates as, whenever there is a decay of righteousness, O Bharata, and there is exaltation of unrighteousness, then I myself come forth for the protection of the good, for the destruction of evil doers. For the sake of firmly establishing righteousness, I am born from age to age.
So what can we do? What corrective actions, steps can be taken? Echoing the powerful message of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism at the global conclave of an ancient traditional celebration of unity, peace, courage, Thaipusam on January 18, 2022. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism said, "It is time we no longer allow ourselves to be silenced by the powerful forces trying to silence us. It is time consciously we, the people, we, the humanity, reclaim our indigenous lifestyle traditions. It is time non-violence, conscious coexistence need to enter into all of our thought currents, our way of living." So it's time we, as a humanity, collectively take action to ensure genocide never again, Holocaust never again. It is time we, as a humanity, as leaders, decision makers, recognize the Hindu Holocaust and Hindu Holocaust denial that exist and take the right conscious corrective actions to end this crime versus humanity.
And to close today's presentation, we have two beautiful and powerful messages from the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagwan Nithyananda Paramashivam, from two occasions just recently, where Bhagwan says that non-violence is the foundation of Hinduism and the foundation of Kailasa's constitution. And secondly, Bhagwan says, the ultimate cosmic law is ahimsa, non-violence. It is the most powerful, best strategy, even to stop the Hindu Holocaust. So on behalf of Kailasa UN Mission, and with the grace and blessings of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagwan Nithyananda Paramashivam, we thank you for being here and participating in today's very special segment on this International Day in commemoration of victims of Holocaust. So we now end with the Purna Mantra. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sarvam Bhagavat Shri Nithyananda Paramashiva Parukar Pranamastu Om Nithyanandam.
I am your Guru. I will make you enlightened. It's my commitment. Till you become Paramashiva, I won't rest. Don't worry at all. To all my disciples, I give you this as a boon. I'll swallow everything with which you are stuck and liberate you all. Greater signs of life can be realized with a greater ability to visualize. Greater science is the equivalent word for Hinduism. When you understand the greater science of life, greater courage, more possibility, more fearlessness, more joy, more bliss. When you visualize Paramashiva with 25 heads, 75 eyes, 50 hands, your consciousness becomes ferocious, and that ability to visualize, you will get involved in everything deeply. Involved people are the most delicious, most sweet, most beautiful, most juiciest beings of planet Earth. The moment you decide, your consciousness is the supreme identity you have. You will not empower your depression, your frustration, deal your problems, whether it is simple headache or depression or the worst suicidal patterns or life negativity, only through consciousness. Don't go for any other solution. Don't keep stupid, toxic, life negative struggles inside. Your consciousness has power at this moment to swallow, digest, clean up all negativity and all toxins. Develop a powerful will persistence. That's the most important asset for life. I am not giving you some life positive blah blah. I am giving you the facts of life. I am triggering your consciousness. The moment you decide, your consciousness is the supreme identity you have. You will not empower your depression, your frustration, deal your problems, whether it is simple headache or depression or the worst suicidal patterns or life negativity, only through consciousness. Don't go for any other solution. Don't keep stupid, toxic, life negative struggles inside.
Of the glorious past on today's day, the 27th of January, over the years, all the way from 2005 till 2021. And hope all of us, you would have seen about the various satsangs over the years, the various revelations, and especially all the activities, the celebrations which the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism had participated in, and of course, all the programs conducted by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, the Kalpatarus, the inner awakenings, the beautiful programs. And we are now entering into a beautiful segment where we are now going to see how all of us can participate in the upcoming program, the Paramashivoham Level 3 program, which is beginning just in a few days on the 1st of March to the 21st of March 2022, where the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is conducting another extraordinary program for all of us. And it's a 21-day program where we are going to experience the dimensions of the 25 states of consciousness, the vertical time zones, and of course, the power manifestation, manifesting the extraordinary powers, more than 463 powers revealed by Bhagavan Paramashiva in the Vedas and Agamas, and revived by our beloved Swamiji, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. So let's all get ready. And if you have not yet registered, we have got thousands of registrations pouring in. And if you have missed it, this is a beautiful opportunity where you can go to kailasa.org/Paramashivoham to register yourself, to put forward your intention for the Paramashivoham Level 3 program.
Yes, as Tattva Maharaj was sharing with every one of us, this is a very exciting opportunity that all of us have to experience and to have Paramashiva himself in our life. Literally during this lockdown, all of us had a tough time, or a different time, I would say, for many of us. And Swamiji in the previous Paramashivoham Level 2, during the previous lockdown, Swamiji just gave us a complete breakthrough, sailed us across the entire pralaya, the entire pandemic, just like that. The pandemic didn't affect the devotees of Swamiji at all, because Swamiji just took care of us. Here is the next blast, which is the Paramashivoham Level 3, where Swamiji himself is going to be conducting. And this time, Swamiji is going to be sharing deeper and deeper and deeper truths into the various dimensions of the cosmos. Swamiji earlier in the satsangs has revealed about some of the dimensions, the length, breadth, depth, time, space. But Swamiji says, as the devotees, the listeners, when we all become more and more mature to receive the higher truths, Swamiji starts delivering those greater experiences and profound truths to every one of us. And that is precisely what we are going to be gifted during the Paramashivoham Level 3. What has always remained as just concepts, vertical time zones, parallel universes, multiple dimensions, entering into multiple dimensions, time travel, what always existed and exists as just a sci-fi ideology, theory, and a curiosity, Swamiji is actually making it a reality for every one of us. We already had 2 very powerful webinars unraveling the mysteries of the parallel universe and experiencing reality by time-space manifestation. Next, we have a very, very beautiful webinar coming up the next weekend, which is going to be on decoding time, where we can play with time. Time travel is not just going to be a theory or an idea which every one of us would like to experience, if at all it was true. It is true and it can be experienced. And that is what Swamiji is going to be revealing. And not just revealing, but giving us the experience. And these are all just glimpses of the Paramashivoham Level 3. So if you have not yet registered for the Paramashivoham Level 3, immediately head over to kailasa.org/Paramashivoham and register yourself for the Paramashivoham Level 3 program, because that is the first step for you to experience Paramashiva, for you to experience the ultimate in your life.
Yes, and also we are seeing live viewer on YouTube is commenting that Paramashivam begins on 19th February. I would just like to clarify, as the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism wanted us to experience and begin with the powerful night of Shivaratri, the Paramashivam program will be beginning on the 1st of March to the 21st of March, especially celebrating Shivaratri with Paramashiva himself is one of the greatest opportunities that we can get. So it is such an auspicious time, especially as on all these days, such as Shivaratri or Navaratri, Guru Purnima, it is these kind of powerful days where literally the whole cosmos is aligned for a superconscious breakthrough. Many of us would have heard stories about how the Vedic rishis designed and made sure the planets align for few events to happen. And it is precisely that cosmic alignment which happens during the Shivaratri. Shivaratri is nothing but the Hindu festival where we celebrate the appearance of Bhagavan Paramashiva as a light shaft and giving the enlightenment to Bhagavan Vishnu and Lord Brahma. So it is on this auspicious day that the Paramashivoham level 3 program is beginning. So let's all jump in and register ourselves for the Paramashivoham level 3, and also our acharyas will be guiding all of you on how, after you register, after you put your intention to register for the Paramashivoham level 3 program, how you can offer the Guru Dakshina and how you can get yourself ready for all the sessions of Paramashivoham.
Also, as Maharaj was sharing with every one of us, the Paramashivoham itself is going to be a 21-day experience, power-packed right from where we are in our house. A couple of years ago, Swamiji shared that I will bring enlightenment to each and every one of your bedroom. And that is exactly what we're experiencing. We had the first taste of it in the previous pandemic with Paramashivoham level 2. And now we're getting ready for something even better, even powerful, even much more, I'd say, something that we have never imagined about, because the truths that Swamiji is bringing, the very glimpses that Swamiji has given during the webinars itself is just mind-boggling, because these are concepts, as I shared, that always only existed as fantasies, but now becoming realities and possibility for each and every one of us, just because of the gifts and the initiations by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, our beloved Swamiji. We are now going to be taking some time going over the previous webinars that Swamiji conducted, where he revealed various powerful insights on the time, the space, and the parallel universes. So stay tuned to listen more and more deeper insights and revelations and how you can practically use it in your life. Stay tuned. We shall come back after a short break.
The moment you decide, your consciousness is the supreme identity you have. You will not empower your depression, your frustration, deal your problems, whether it is simple headache or depression or the worst suicidal patterns or life negativity, only through consciousness. Don't go for any other solution. Don't keep stupid, toxic, life negative struggles inside. Your consciousness has power at this moment to swallow, digest, clean up all negativity and all toxins. Develop a powerful will persistence. That's the most important asset for life. I am not giving you some life positive blah blah. I am giving you the facts of life. I am triggering your consciousness. Time itself is nothing but your decision to struggle with the same rut. Your decision to struggle with the same rut is time, Kala. Your decision to swallow time is Kala Bhairava. Stand. Be a conscious woman or man. Be conscious being. Shrink the time through conscious will persistence. Make the future into present by being ferocious with yourself.
Nithyanam, everybody, welcome back. Let us now look at some of the excerpts from the previous webinar, the time-space manifestation. Swamiji revealed the higher dimensions, when they enter consciously into the lower dimensions, they manifest as powers, unexpected positive turn of events, and the reality you experience. You can name it as miracle, power, God's grace, anything that you want. But the greater cosmic science is the higher dimension entering into the lower dimension. If space dimension enters into time, time literally manifests everything that space wants. If the time dimension enters into depth, the depth dimension manifests everything that the time wants. The length, breadth, depth, time, space, all these dimensions are independently intelligent, alive, able to make their own conclusions and respond within their frame and working zone. The length dimension is responsible for your logic, rationality. Breadth dimension is responsible for your ability to feel emotions, feeling connections. The depth dimension is responsible for you making cognitions, powerful cognitions about life beyond your logic and emotions. So here Swamiji revealed a very, very powerful sacred secret. Here, when we look at our regular life, how do we even map what Swamiji shared to our regular life? In our regular life, we always feel if there is a up, there is bound to be a low. And when there is a low at given some point in time, we're going to go up again. So there is this constant idea that we carry about life, that it is going to be in a certain way, in a certain rhythm. But that can be drastically changed when there's an interference. And this interference from the higher dimensions, as Swamiji shared, when the space dimension enters into the time, the time manifests whatever the space dimension wants, which means that space is able to exert itself completely into time, and time becomes one with the space. So in terms of reflecting it into our day-to-day lives, when we are going through some ups and downs, some difficulties, some problems in our life, when the higher levels of experiences, for example, we have the initiation from Swamiji. What it does is that it gushes the superconscious energy, invoking Paramashiva himself in you, through which the higher dimension is entering into you, changing the very reality, not just as you wanted it to be, but as Paramashiva himself would want it, which is the best beyond what any of us can imagine. So Swamiji is sharing here that you do not have to be stuck with your regular rut. You do not have to be stuck with your regular mundane way of life. The way that you can do it is to experience a very powerful shift just by the initiation from the higher dimension, which in our terms is initiation from Swamiji, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism.
Yes, as Sundareshwara Maharaj was sharing, just by one initiation of the avatar, literally everything in the time and space, and of course, all 11 dimensions immediately change. Like many of you, if you would have had the beautiful opportunity of having the physical darshan or even the daily morning satsangs, you would see that it might just be, let's say, a 1 hour satsang, but the amount, how much you're engrossed with what Swamiji is speaking and what the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is revealing, it will just feel as though you were sitting for around 12 hours, or literally you would even forget the time around you. So it is literally the avatar just by the presence, the whole time and space and all dimensions completely change. And here let us see more truths from the time space manifestation webinar. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism beautifully reveals time is as alive as your skin. If you believe, cognize, your skin is alive. If somebody massages your skin, you feel good. If someone cuts, you feel pain. How much your skin is alive, much, much more than that, time is alive skin of the cosmos. Where your skin ends, the skin of the cosmos, which is called time, starts. Actually, your skin and the skin of cosmos both always touch each other. You cannot be away from cosmos. How you have a nervous system which passes the thought currents inside you, same way cosmos has a nervous system which passes its decisions and thought currents, that is space. Your skin is alive, your nervous system keeps you living. The equivalent of your skin for the cosmos is time, the equivalent of your nervous system for the cosmos is space. Listen to this secret. I know the consciousness goes on rejuvenating the skin of the cosmos called time. That rejuvenated skin, time, is entering into my skin and constantly rejuvenating me. So here all of us can literally understand the way how the cosmos functions in terms of time and space. And the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism beautifully reveals that constantly the time is getting rejuvenated as the skin of the cosmos, and that rejuvenated skin time is entering into my skin and constantly rejuvenating me. So all of us, this is a beautiful concept where all of us feel that if any incident happens, let's say you had a fight with your friend or one of your family member, and all of us feel that we carry that continuously for days, week, if not years. And the only way, as the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has introduced the concept of completion, only when we drop, we don't get stuck to that time, as many of us would have experienced the root pattern completion, where the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism beautifully reveals that whenever we had the root pattern in our life, let's say the age of 5 or 6, it is not only impacting our mental way of how we cognize things, how we function, but even physically, you would see that in your from the time that your root pattern started, you would see some, even in your health, it gets affected. That is because we are not able to leave it in either the time dimension, because we are stuck in that same time or that same part of our life in the same past, where continuously we see that past incident repeating again and again in our life. And even you would see that the physical disease, let's say that your root pattern was fear, and whenever you get scared, either you get a fever or you catch a cold or you have a severe migraine. So you would see that the physical body that you are carrying and the experience that you had in the time dimension, both are interconnected. So it is this beautiful concept that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is revealing, that when we rejuvenate the time, then automatically even the skin, our own human body, gets rejuvenated.
Let us now listen a beautiful revelation by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism from the previous webinar, Experiencing Reality by Time-Space Manifestation. I request all the viewers, all the participants who are sitting with us from around the world, who connected with us today, to listen to these revelations by Swamiji. And next, we're going to be looking at how we can map it into our practical lives, use it practically in each and every one of our lives. So I request all of you to please sit straight as we get ready to listen to the satsang and the revelations by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism.
Consciousness of Paramashiva and consciousness of you is one and the same. Be very clear. How much you are alive with your liveliness, your feeling of your aliveness, with that, if you try to grasp, understand the liveliness of Paramashiva, that's enough. You do not need to worry that you don't understand Paramashiva, you don't manifest Paramashiva. No. If you want 20-inch biceps, it's not that it's going to happen in one day. You first start building your biceps, and that muscle which you built helps you to lift more weight, and you lift more weight and build the muscles more. Same way, with your available consciousness, you try to contemplate, grasp, cognize, meditate on Paramashiva how much you can. When Paramashiva's consciousness starts triggering your consciousness, his space triggers your nervous system, his time triggers your skin. Simply you manifest him in your day-to-day life. Listen. I'll give you an example. If you throw a stone, with the basic Newton's law, the theories of physics, you will know with what force you threw the stone up and how it will take the curve and how it will land. But while the stone is in the air, if there's one more intervention happens on that stone, one more push through air blower or something, then naturally the stone will not come down as we predicted. It will go through another cycle. Same way, your age, your health, your ups and downs can be intervened, altered, changed, corrected, completed, totally rewritten by intervention of Guru's initiation, Shaktipada, Shaktinipada, energy darshan. Understand? My intervention in your life is consciousness of Paramashiva intervening into your consciousness, and the space of Paramashiva manifesting in your nervous system, skin of Paramashiva manifesting in your time. I tell you, simple few truths I'll reveal. Listen. I have so many things to narrate. Simple. If you have the ability to handle your hunger-related pattern, it will be so easy for you to handle time. If you have the ability to handle the pressures or ups and downs created by your hormones, it will be so easy for you to handle your inner space. If you have the ability to handle the fear of expansion, everyone is afraid of expansion. If you are able to handle the fear of expansion, Paramashiva's consciousness will just manifest in you. We are greedy of expansion one side. Deep down, we are also afraid of expansion. That is why whenever I pour initiation and Shaktipada in you, within next 48 hours, you try to come down and catch hold of the same old, small, silly, street fights. It's not even like a materialistic desire. Actually, your materialistic desires are not wrong. But you always want to live in conflict. You feel you should have materialistic desires and it should not be fulfilled easily, and you should go on be blaming someone for that not getting fulfilled. You enjoy these conflicts and conflict-centric life. That is where the whole mess is. I am telling you. Stop enjoying this conflict-centric life. In any field, the consciousness of Paramashiva can manifest intensely, ferociously, life in you spontaneously.
Nithyanam, everybody. Sorry for the technical glitch. We listened from the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism the powerful details and the powerful revelations about the time and the space dimension. Now, let us all get ready to enter into the meditation and to have the Nitya Satsang by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Let us now watch a beautiful satsang from the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism.
நித்தியன் வாழும் நித்தியபுரி மலையே ஆறு படைக்கப்பா ஆறு படைக்கப்பா ஓம் ஆறு படைக்கப்பா நித்தியன் வாழும் நித்தியபுரி மலையே ஆறு படைக்கப்பா அறுபடை சக்தியின் ஒருமுக நித்தியனின் திருவடியை நாம் காண்போம் நித்யா திருவடியை நாம் காண்போம் நித்தியன் திருவடி கண்டு நோயற்ற வாழ்வினை பெறுவோம் நித்தியன் திருவடி கண்டு நோயற்ற வாழ்வினை பெறுவோம் ஆறு படைக்கப்பா ஓம் ஆறு படைக்கப்பா நித்தியன் வாழும் நித்தியபுரி மலையே ஆறு படைக்கப்பா ஆறு படைக்கப்பா ஓம் ஆறு படைக்கப்பா நித்தியன் வாழும் நித்தியபுரி மலையே ஆறு படைக்கப்பா கேட்டால் தருவார் வந்தால் அருள்வார் நித்யபுரி நித்யா நித்யா நித்யபுரி நித்யா நித்யன் பாதம் கண்டு சகல செல்வமும் பெறுவோம் நித்யன் பாதம் கண்டு சகல செல்வமும் பெறுவோம் ஆறு படைக்கப்பா ஓம் ஆறு படைக்கப்பா நித்யன் வாழும் நித்யபுரி மலையே ஆறு படைக்கப்பா ஆறு படைக்கப்பா ஓம் ஆறு படைக்கப்பா நித்யன் வாழும் நித்யபுரி மலையே ஆறு படைக்கப்பா
ஓம் நித்யானந்தேஸ்வர परमशिवसमारम्भाम् नित्यानन्देश्वरि परमशिवशक्तिमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् I welcome you all with my love and respects. I welcome all the dignitaries, very important, yes, statesmen from the various countries, representatives of the various countries for this grand global conclave of an ancient traditional celebration of unity and peace and courage, Taipusam with Sri Kailasa, uniting nations for indigenous traditions and tribes. We are honored to have Mr. Anthony Kiwonka, Department Minister, representative of Liberia. Thank you for being here. We are honored to have you here, Minister Mr. Anthony Kiwonka from Liberia. Honorable Solomon George, Member of House of Representatives representing Liberia, Mayor Peter Kezola representing Uganda, Honorable Deng Jesus Mading, Parliament Member representing Jangle and Chairperson of South Sudan Young Parliamentarian Caucus, South Sudan. I welcome you. We are honored by your presence. Mr. R.N. Hawker, Director of Migration Investments, representative of Turkey. Mr. Philip P. Reklai, Senator and representative of Palau, President of Reklai Associates. Thank you for being here. Haji Sainul Sarafat, President of Anjuman Zunatul Jamaat Association, representative of Trinidad and Tobago. Right Reverend Dr. Joseph, Head of the Lutheran Church Malawi. Datuk Dr. Logabalan Mohan, Deputy Minister of Federal Territories, representing Malaysia. Mr. Gurpreet Singh, President of Punjab Organization, representing Malaysia. And there's a long list of guests who are here. I sincerely thank every one of you for being here. We are honored by your presence. Thank you once again. And I also welcome all the ambassadors, ministers, representatives of Kailasa, Vidyeshwaras, Ganeshwaras, Lokeshwaras, Astreshwaras. I welcome all of you with my love and respects. We are honored by all of you. Paramashiva's message directly from Kailasa. on this auspicious occasion, celebration, global conclave of an ancient traditional celebration of unity and peace and courage, Taipusam, organized by Kailasa, Uniting Nations for Indigenous Traditions and Tribes. Message from Paramashiva directly is, let us strengthen the grass roots of our conscious lifestyle to live consciously successful life on planet Earth. Please understand, the worst crisis humanity is going through is the largest population ever on the planet Earth feels uprooted. Please understand, never ever world faced this conscious pandemic. I'm not talking about corona. I am talking about largest population, more than 70% of the human population feels they are uprooted. They have no roots. Consciously feel their life has no purpose. I tell you, the greatest problem humanity is facing now is not just pandemic, corona, or global warming. All this we can handle too easily if we are consciously strong. If human beings are consciously strong, handling corona, global warming, other problems are too easy. But unfortunately, more than 70% of the humanity, please understand when I am saying these words, 70%, after thorough research, studying the scientific researches, analysis done by multiple universities which are working on various human societies, ethnic cultures. After thoroughly studying all of that, I am making this statement. More than 70% of the humanity feels consciously uprooted. The feeling of belongingness is stolen away. That's one of the fundamental flaw, I should say. The fundamental right to all human beings is feeling conscious belongingness, feeling grounded, feeling fulfilled with their life. Unfortunately, the political ideologies which are extremely exploitative, religious ideologies which are extremist, the militant missionaries and missionary militants, chronic capitalism, deadly combination of all these three. Chronic capitalism, extremist religious ideologies, an extremely exploitative, oppressive political ideologies and decision makers. The deadly combination of these three has made more than 70% of the human beings consciously uprooted. The biggest problem humanity is facing now is conscious pandemic. Feeling purposeless. The definition of life is not convincing, satisfying. Please understand, 50% of the middle class people are dropping from regular jobs. Regular jobs are not going to be any more normal lifestyle. The new normal is not going to have a regular clerical, industrial, working population. This is one of the major revolution happening all over the world. Nobody is waking up to it. And 20% of the population just want to move away from the grid. Not just from job. They just don't want the human civilization. They are moving into the forests, remote villages. They don't want all the comforts, luxuries the modern day civilization is providing, because they feel it's the too costly exchange. The 20% do not know the solution, but one thing they became very clear, they don't want the modern civilization anymore. Understand? I am not against science, modern civilization. I am not against any of it. But the crony capitalists, extremist religious ideologies like militant missionaries and missionary militants, and absolute oppressive, sadist, autocratic, power-hungry political decision makers, deadly combination of these three is making people lose their roots. I call this as a conscious pandemic, which is more serious problem than global warming or corona, the global pandemic which we are going through. Please understand, this conscious pandemic of feeling uprooted, feeling displaced, is imploding human society from inside. No amount of painkillers, depression medications, psychiatric drugs is going to help these root problems of humanity. No amount of addiction, illegal drugs is going to help the humanity to find solution. All the decision makers all over the world, if you are a decision maker in the political field, religious field, media, or entertainment field, Hollywood, Bollywood, Gollywood, Sandalwood, or social media influencer, if you are influencing the society in any form, I request all of you sincerely, please wake up to this truth. We are having conscious pandemic all over the world. The only solution is strengthening our indigenous lifestyle consciously. Let's go back to our way of eating. Each part of the world, country, had their way of diet before this multinational companies started dumping food-like products in the name of food into our stomach and make our body as their source for income. Understand, a patient cured is a client lost for big pharmas. They are not going to think for your health. It is very open. It's a business for them. So why will they think? They are not charitable organization. They are not compassion-centric ideology organization. They are declared for-profit companies. Why don't we wake up? The big pharmas are going to only work for their profit. For them, your body is an income source. Why don't we wake up to the simple truth and drop the blind spot with which we are pushing our life and masses, billions of human beings into irreversible physical, mental, psychological, emotional damages we are collectively causing. Please understand. Crony capitalism in the field of pharma, in the field of food, is not only extremely dangerous, it is causing irreversible damage to the human bodies, minds, physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically. We are living the worst kind of body-mind structure for our next generation. Please understand. In multi-level stealing the conscious indigenous life from the people, whether the indigenous Hindu traditions are stolen away, destroyed from the Hindus living in remote villages of Nepal, India, Malaysia, or the indigenous homegrown family lifestyle of worshipping Voodoos, the Voodoo traditions being stolen away, robbed, forcibly taken away from the African indigenous tribes. All these are the crimes against humanity. Please understand, whether a Munishwaran temple is getting demolished in a remote village in Tamil Nadu, or Mariamman temple is getting demolished in a remote village in Malaysia, or the village Hindu tribes getting brainwashed and forcibly getting converted in Nepal, or the indigenous African tribes and traditions is getting wiped off in the name of modernization, and they losing their Voodoo traditions and converting losing their conscious roots and being consciously manipulated, bullied, exploited by missionary militants and militant missionaries. All these are causing conscious pandemic for human beings. The deadly combination of these three all over the world is causing chaos. It is time consciously we the people, we the humanity reclaim our indigenous lifestyle traditions consciously. Modernization does not mean getting brainwashed and losing your conscious roots by this deadly combination of crony capitalist autocratic political decision makers extremely misinforming, brainwashing mainstream media and militant missionaries and missionary militant religious political ideologies. Common man follows science, science follows simply obediently the large powerful media and pharma mafia. Even in this global pandemic corona, common man follows science. Common man is controlled by science and science is controlled by big pharmas. Big pharmas have evolved more like a modern day mafia than solution for the problems of humanity. It is time we the people, we the human beings, we the conscious beings wake up and not allow ourselves to get silenced by those powerful forces trying to silence us. We should get back to our conscious roots, our conscious lifestyle, our own conscious introduction about ourselves, the way we deal our body, our mind, our pleasures, our pains, our relationships, the concept of economy, concept of currency, concept of money, concept of social structure. In every level, it is time we get back to our roots consciously, not allow these chronic capitalists and chronic capitalists supported militant missionaries and missionary militants get to our conscious roots. We are made to eat something food-like product in the name of food, plastic food, which makes us not only sick, alters our body and mind once and for all to be a client for pharmaceutical industry. Big pharma mafias, and we continue to earn, live just to make big pharmas richer and richer and richer. Patient cured is a client lost is their ideology. And common mass, billions of people are just being treated as the clients, not as patients. Non-violence, conscious coexistence need to enter into all our thought currents, the way of living, in our business decisions, social understandings, the way we influence ourselves and the people around us and the world. Please understand, 70% of the world population is imploding. Consciously feel uprooted, displaced. This conscious pandemic really need to be taken very seriously. Efforts to correct the course correction should start now. Kailasa is all about conscious course correction. We are not interested in who committed the crime. We are only interested in waking up the human beings that the crime has been committed on them and move them away from the sufferings and make them consciously grounded again. Feel fulfilled again, feel this home, Planet Earth, the only home we human beings have. We have some more guests joining. Honorable Jose Miguel Benitez, the Mayor of Guatemala Zone, representing Guatemala. Thank you for being here. All over the world, in the name of globalization, our indigenous roots are consciously getting destroyed. It is time we revive the conscious-centric civilization, conscious-centric lifestyle, conscious-centric life solutions. We human beings need to revisit all the ideas about what is money, what is currency, what is crime, who should be put in prison, who should be rewarded, awarded, what is science. All these definitions need to be revisited consciously. What is human body? What is human mind? What is human being? What is the meaning of health? What is the definition of consciously feeling fulfilled? What is the definition of peace? What is the definition of love? What is the definition of joy? All this need to be redefined, revisited consciously. At least last 200 years, heavy damage is done. I'm not talking just about India or Sri Lanka, Nepal, Malaysia, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Afghanistan. No, I'm talking about the whole world, Africa. The whole suffering human beings going through in Afghanistan is they accepted the ideology which dictates them, brainwashes them to kill people if they have a different opinions. Instead of handling the logic with the logic, when sword is used to cut the head, if there is an idea in somebody's head and you have better idea, try to share your idea. But just because the other person has different idea in his head, just cutting his head is not going to solve the problem. But unfortunately, when you accept those ideologies, once you start killing anyone, once you complete the killing of the people whom you think as ideologically different outsiders, you start killing within yourself, because the habit of killing by then becomes part of your lifestyle. You can't do anything. You don't know anything else other than either you kill or get killed. The militant missionary ideology are causing millions of people getting even physically uprooted, making them refugees. And then missionary militants, conversion, religious conversion for the sake of political motives, the mass conversion is terrorism. We human beings need to know an individual, for the sake of conscious reason, changing his ideologies due to conscious evolution is absolutely okay. That's a freedom. But mass conversion with a political ideology, heavily funded externally, is a terrorism. It's a violence. Just like gun terrorism, gun violence, humanity should wake up and realize conversion terrorism and conversion violence. Gun violence kills only in thousands. Conversion violence kills in millions. We Hindus, who are the victims of militant missionaries and missionary militants, have to wake up to tell the truth to the world. We need to start somewhere. We should make the world understand. Stop this consciously uprooting people. By terrorizing us with the militant missionaries, missionary militants, and the lifestyle, consumeristic lifestyle being forced on us in the name of culture, modernization by the chronic capitalists. When you get addicted to food-like products in the name of food, please wake up. Your body is becoming the source for income for the big pharma mafias. We human beings need to reclaim our conscious-centric, indigenous lifestyles. We should free ourselves from currency-centric, profit-motivated, profit-centric food, medicine, lifestyles forced on us. First, human beings should liberate themselves. By the profit motive, multinational companies, food and medicine, lifestyles forced on us. Second, profit motive, large mafia teaching us about our mind, the false theories dumped on our mind to make us as a patient and resource for their companies. By teaching the false ideas, concepts in the name of psychology, psychiatry, and in the name of mental health, and the false ideas about the currency being taught to us, false ideas about wealth being taught to us, the false ideas about religion, life being taught to us. Let's free ourselves from all this and consciously get back to our indigenous traditions. Our ancestors who are conscious beings who did not look at us as clients or resource for their income or their slaves or the source for their power. Our ancestors were conscious. My sincere request to all the decision makers, social influencers who are here, let's wake up to this conscious pandemic humanity is going through. Let's start now. Let's do something now. Let's get back to food style, lifestyle, medicines, everything our ancestors gave us consciously. Understand? In that conscious lifestyle, if we need to do some evolution, let us evolve consciously in that very lifestyle and stop discarding that whole conscious lifestyle of our indigenous traditions. Conscious indigenous traditions and the conscious lifestyle is the solution for all the conscious pandemic human beings are going through all over the world. Thank you for being here. Maybe in further satsangs, I'll reveal more and more. The solution from conscious enlightened civilization, ancient civilization, of the humanity, Hindu tradition. Kailasa is all about reviving the ancient, enlightened, conscious-centric, indigenous traditions. Hinduism is just nothing but the collection of around 10,000 indigenous traditions, indigenous lifestyles. We are not like modern day organized religions. We are not enforced cookie cutter solutions. We see human beings as conscious beings, not as source for money, not as source for power, not as source for anything. We see human beings as conscious living beings. Non-violence is the foundation of Hinduism and the foundation of Kailasa's constitution. Let's get back to our conscious indigenous traditions, liberate ourselves from this huge conscious pandemic and help the humanity to free themselves from this conscious pandemic. That's all is my request to all the decision makers who are here from various walks of life. Thank you all. With this, I bless you all. Let's all radiate with integrity, authenticity, responsibility, enriching, causing, living Shuddhatvaita Saivam Paramadvaitam. The state, space, powers, being, superconsciousness, and Kailasa, Maha Kailasa of Paramashiva, Paramashivoham, Om Nithyananda Paramashivoham, the eternal bliss Nithyananda. Thank you. Be blissful.